Alrighty, everyone. It is day 13 of Vantage Point scoop season. We had a nice day of scoops from a variety of different sources, and I've got two fantastic guests to come on and talk about Netrunner with. So we'll talk about today's spoilers, but first I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves. I'll have them talk a little bit about how they got into Netrunner, when they started playing, how they're involved in it these days, and then what their favorite upgrade is. So, Meteor, you're first alphabetically, so I'll have you go.
Hey, I'm Ethan. I'm a London player. I joined right when RWR released, so this was like much meta. So I haven't been playing that long, but I'd say I've like mostly been focused on competitive play and just getting really solid at the game, especially in 2025. Recently joined Scrubs and have been responsible for the late game nuke that is the Scrubs Orb deck. I'm sorry to JDAs everywhere. Well, I'm not, but I can pretend like I am. And for favorite upgrade, I mean, I think it's just Holloman. I think as an orb head, that card is just too much fun to play with. There's so many silly things you can do with it and Eminent Domain. And like, I'm going to miss Excavator because I think that whole line is dead.
Yeah, Excavator is a very big hit to the acidy versions of Ob. It's pretty tough. Yeah, Hollow Man's definitely a banger of a card, and I remember when it was being spoiled, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, this card's super broken," and maybe it is. Not
It's a glorified Sansan. That's the way I describe it. It's like a better Sansan, but like not so much better that it breaks the game.
Yeah, well, and we'll have a similar, maybe not like glorified Sansan, but another card to talk about today that is part of why I asked about upgrades. And that Shadow, would you introduce yourself to the stream?
Yeah, I'm Shadow the 6th. I am much newer to Netrunner. I've been playing for, I don't know, a year and a half maybe. We got into the scene here just before Elevation came out and enjoyed that as the spoiler season kind of right out the gate with some folks at our LGS. So we did kind of a teach me session, and then ever since then we kind of slowly been moving up the card pool. Started with just System Gateway, then we moved to a core set, and then so Elevation and System Gateway, and then we moved to Startup. We were in Startup for quite some time, and then we jumped straight up into Standard. And so now this is the first time where the group's all on the same page. We all have the same card pool, and we're moving into Standard. So I'm the TO here for the local area of Fargo, North Dakota. So
Oh,
really
great.
excited,
That's
young
sick.
group. So it's been just really fun to jump into a game that's so accessible. And that was kind of what brought me to Netrunner, was the accessibility portion. I've gotten burnt a bit on TCGs where they're just so much of a money game to stay up to date and to stay competitive in it. And so Netrunner gives that awesome affordability, the print and play access and all of that. So it's just been really a joy to enjoy that and spend any extra money I've got on cool artwork instead.
That's sick. No, that's a great story to hear. That's like honestly like one of those stories that, like NSG people like are always excited to hear, and like why we do this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was priced out of Yu-Gi-Oh at one point, so I'm in some respects the same. I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah. Now upgrade, again, I don't know all of them, so maybe my favorite will change, but most recently I've really been enjoying my virus. Just the poisoning of archives just is fun. It's an entirely fun concept to me. And you know, sometimes you're like sitting there on JNet playing and you're like, you have to click through everything, but it's fun to purge even though there's nothing to purge on JNet. So that's always fun.
Have you like purged the leech on a run where the runner's like planning to use the leech yet? It's the best feeling.
I
Like
have
hit a
not,
drafter.
but
the
my wife
best
has,
feeling, like-
and that it feels good.
Like they run out of mic with a buzzsaw and like a leech counter, and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna break it for 2, and then you res them a virus and you purge and they face check the mic and they lose their whole turn to it. It's the best feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, Mavirus, and the card. It's a callback to, or Cyberdex Virus Suite is a very nice set, a very like fun upgrade. It's like probably the closest you get to a counterspell in Netrunner, which like it's a fun thing as long as it's not like everywhere. It's fun to have in small doses. I think. I very rarely answer these. I think my favorite is also a Wayland upgrade, but it's not nearly as good. It's also an upgrade. Like Tucana is just one of my favorite upgrades. It's not the most competitive, but it just makes for like some absolutely silly games where you suddenly start like flying ahead of everything.
It's nice also when the runner is just like sitting there and not doing anything, because it's like one of the few ways to get ice rezzed without having to interact with your opponent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
That
Because there is one angle of playing against Ob where you just like kind of don't interact until like you kind of have to, but like at that point sometimes the runner actually can out muscle Ob, and Sukana does help break that a little bit, which is kind of cool. All right, well, we have a good set of spoilers to talk about today. The very first one comes to us from the Maker's Eye, which should be linked in the description below. This was like a puzzle. I didn't have a chance to play it, but like a puzzle, like kind of why I run style, like console based thing that both guests were saying they were having a fun time, couldn't quite figure it out fully in time. But I've included a link directly to it, so it's very much worth going and trying yourself. I'm going to show the spoiler in just a second, but if you haven't seen it somehow and want to go and do that puzzle completely blind, go and do that. Otherwise, it's probably still going to be some fun once you know the card. So your opportunity to do that ends now. I'm going to talk about Methuselah. This is a 4-cost hardware console stealth. It is +1 MU. Whenever a run begins, you may trash 1 piece of hardware from your grip to place 2 credits on this hardware. You can spend hosted credits during runs and limit 1 console per player. This is 2 influence. So yeah, I guess like I imagine for both of you, if you've been playing, post RWR or more recently than that, you haven't seen like stealth has not really been an archetype very much. So I'm kind of curious what your 2 thoughts like are on stealth, and maybe Shadow, I'll actually start with you. Like, what's your impression of what stealth is good for, not good for, like that kind of stuff?
Sure. Start me with a hard one. Yeah, stealth I think is going to be a mechanic, and at least it seems this way, where it's going to be riding the edge, right? You want to get right on the edge of that wave. If you're putting your entire kit into it, you're wasting so much of your kit. But if you can get just enough stealth credits, you can get a lot more efficiency, from what I've seen in certain aspects. And so, this one being such a way and such a enabler for Hiram to just get easy stealth credits and still activate his ID ability is definitely something that you're gonna see, right? Like it's something that people are going to try as soon as the set comes out.
Yeah,
Because
I guess
stealth
actually,
being able to use this way, this is gonna be great.
I guess my question was actually like prior to this set, had you interacted with stealth at all?
So I've seen it
Oh, go ahead.
a little bit. Specifically, my wife is very good at finding things, and so she on her own found Mantle and was triggering it on the opposite turn to add counters to is it twinning?
Yeah.
The twinning host deck with after image, that deck's actually, I'm surprised we didn't see it at Worlds. I was expecting to see it at Worlds.
Yeah, I was definitely something I was
outside
I was
of that,
gonna say.
Most of my stealth interaction has been in like I played a lot of very recently, like at the end of the format here in standard, because it's been a while. We've had this elevation for a while. I wanted to try other things. I've been playing like historic formats and like throwback type formats like Eternal and stuff. And so we have like Smoke, right? It's like the obvious stealth where she kind of just breaks the mechanic and converts all her real money into stealth money with Netmaker. And it's like not really a problem for her to play any stealth card because she has so many stealth credits for free. But I think outside of that, after image, I mean, right now in standard, it's like Mantle, Taka, and a number of toolkit, but that card's not very good. Let's be honest here. So I think this is really like I between Touchstone and this, there is definitely like a solid Shaper Stealth package that's like enough stealth credits to play whatever stealth card you want without being so many that it's like trivialized. The question is, what's the payoff for the stealth cards? We have Penrose, which is okay, and I mean After Image is like the big one. I feel like we saw it in Hosh like this format. I think we will probably see more of it if stealth is good, which I would be surprised if it wasn't at this point. I think After Image is insanely good breaker. You get to bypass a sentry for 2 credits. You get to break like drafters for 2 credits. You get to break so many like the two subs, 3 strength has become a real like sticking point for sentries right now. We have I think Flywheel, Drafter, Doom Scroll. There might be a couple others as well. All target that range, and being able to break that for 2 credits is really important right now.
Yeah. I'm going to step back for a second. John Delaney asked a question of, like, why does this have the word stealth on its subtypes, but then, like, not anywhere in the text? And it was answered in the chat, but I figured for people that are watching along, the idea is that, like, there are cards that get credits on them that are stealth, and then there are other cards, like Afterimage that we've been talking about, which says uses ability only by spending credits from a stealth card. And so it's like the cards that use the stealth credits are almost never stealth subtypes, whereas the cards that provide the credits are. So that's how this kind of interaction works. But yeah, in terms of where it's placed, I think, yeah, Methuselah seems like it's meant to be kind of a stealth engine piece. Obviously, it's Hiram's console. I probably should pull Hiram up. We're going to deal with some ugly stream stuff for a moment while I get Hiram in. I probably should have got him in advance because this was always going to be part of the conversation today. But
while you pull that up, what's really interesting here is the card draw, right? Like, because if you're running with Hiram and you're making a run once or twice a turn to pitch these cards to get these great stealth credits to use them, you're gonna need a way to draw them. And like, what do you run? Verbal? Like, what's the other toolkit?
Like the 2 prominent Shaper consoles are draw consoles, which is interesting. So you're giving up a lot of card draw to play this. Jai shouted out in the chat, Shaper Patchwork. I think that's probably an ambitious comparison because this is one specific type of card that Shaper doesn't actually have that many good cards of. You have Simul Chips, which are extremely precious and probably not worth trashing to this. You have your spare consoles and your spare like DZMZs, I guess, would probably be like the easiest thing to throw away. So
yeah,
I'm wondering how many times do you actually get to trigger this over the course of a game is my fear. But maybe Shaper are getting like another hardware that's like relatively disposable. That would probably help a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a part of me that's like, can this be my Q loop deck? Like, can I play 2 Q loops and then just throw away my second one? And because these threads are only during runs, I can use these to install. Was the other, but Touchstone actually is another
card draw from a certain point of view, right?
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to be able to pull it up quickly here, but Touchstone it's a unique stealth card. So if you play 3 Touchstones, you can then pitch additional ones to Methuselah. Is probably an option.
I think the main sticking point for me this card is not actually the text, it's just the 4 install. You have to trash twice to even go neutral. It's kind of rough to get this down. Lilypad has that same problem, but Lilypad has 2 MU as well, which does matter in Shaper, I think, with Muse and other tools. So I am worried that this one will just... Yeah, and NSU cards, right? Which, you know, when your creative commission is a sure gamble, it's 4 credits. It's not so bad to draw to play a Lilypad. So my concern is just, will this be able to recoup its costs quickly enough and actually like get into like positive ranges fast? Because there's not, like I said, there's not that many hardware I'm willing to throw to this, and there's not. It's a high install cost.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So if you can solve the draw with like Nuka and Verbal and maybe some other tool.
Maybe this is Padma's console, honestly speaking. Like Padma can charge a Nuka and like actually have a good ID for once. I think Nuka's the best target in Padma, so she might like this actually. Just turn your bad cards into 2 credits.
We can also just unban her console I've never gotten to play with it, but it
We're
seems
never
real
doing
cool.
that.
I mean, my
It's
best,
way
my,
too broken.
my suggestion, if you want to play with this console, take it out for a spin on one of your weeknight on whenever your next meetup is, and then everyone will go, "Holy smokes! How is this legal for like half a year plus?" And then you'll get
banned
that the
Rezeki
full
and didn't ban
experience.
endurance. I gotta ask questions. You know what? I understand you've learned your lesson on that front.
I
I
mean,
saw
I
how
actually,
quickly Tributary got nuked from orbit.
I will. I mean, I actually don't. We another time maybe we could talk about that. I actually don't think that choice was egregious. I do think actually Rezeki was a significant problem in that format. Endurance obviously
not
was
denying
too,
that.
but
100%.
yeah.
But yeah, this card it's weird. I really hope there's like one more shape of hardware that like you're not too mashed up about, like a sort of like a spy cam type card, right? Where you're just like, if I install this, it does a thing. If I don't install this, who cares, right? Right? Because right now, all the hardware in Shapers seems kind of pretty essential to put down, except for maybe DZ. Like,
Maybe like I
can't
pulled up
imagine throwing the
everything.
time
Like
with
maybe Airblade could be one. Like
Yeah,
you could
there's a few hardwares. The other thought is you can also just not be penalized by running two ofs, right? Like if you have two of a unique, it's not so bad to just pitch it for this, right? Like,
you know, Krim has Class X, so it gets the bottom, and Anarch can just use hit points in certain ways to get the value, but Shaper doesn't really have a way to get value out of duplicates, does it? So this is definitely a way to do that.
Yeah, and actually
Plus,
we're gonna have another card that looks at Shaper duplicates as well after this, but
yeah, we should probably, for the sake of time, move on. We could keep talking on this.
I mean, I am going to call out. We said Patchwork, just for people that don't know that was a card from FFG that let you trash a card from your grip to lower the player install cost by 2. It is also, if you want to get super deep into the rules minutia, one of the most cursed Netrunner cards of all time. But that's more trivia. Like, it's a card that reads in English pretty clearly, and then turns out to tinker with a bunch of stuff.
There's silly interactions with it where it lets you like play Strike Fund for clicklessly for 2 credits and not do anything else because you can't actually play the card. It's such a the rulings on Patchwork are just like, I don't want it.
I pulled up Buffer Drive briefly because someone mentioned that, like, a way to do this is probably also if you can rip through your deck pretty quickly. You can just start buffer driving
the Audrey
hardware that you don't care about
with this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so like
people do this with Audrey and Strike Fund is very strong, and I imagine it could be strong here in Shaper as an infinite econ engine.
Yeah, I also, someone was talking about like, isn't this a bit of a nombo with Hiram, because you have to make the run, trash your card, and then Hiram will tell you if you were supposed to run R&D or not. I think we did see the Crim spoiler that was called Baker, and the way that Baker works is if you click Baker to make a run on archives, you'll trigger Methuselah. You can throw out a hardware that will then trigger Hiram, and then because Baker doesn't make you choose until it's successful, you'll have this time to decide whether you want to access R&D or HQ, which I don't know if that's something, but it could be a neat little combo for people to look out for. And like that seems to me like a potential way to actually leverage stealth. Because, like, historically, stealth has been... And the reason I was kind of asking is, like, for a long time, stealth was just defined by... So it's like we were talking about After Image. This is, like, a very efficient breaker where it will break basically every sentry for 2 credits. There was an even older version of this that literally broke every 7 strength or less sentry for 2 stealth credits. Like, any number of subroutines, any amount of strength less than 7 was just 2 stealth credits. And so that was the like.
I would hate this. I would hate this card.
This card was like never that good, but it was. I mean, there were stealth decks that played it that were tournament competitive, but yeah. So like stealth had this as its identity, and I think one of the interesting things about Vantage Point is, other than we've only seen the Corsair as a stealth icebreaker, and every other stealth card we've seen has been an alternate payoff, which I think is kind of interesting. So maybe there's some breakers hiding in there. Maybe there's some more payoffs hiding in what's left to come. I think we'll kind of have to see.
You
But-
know what I'm gonna say about Baker, right? It's a blue Shaper card for deep dive. I have to say it. I know we're all thinking it. We don't want to admit it.
Well, deep dive. I mean, maybe SBT is right, and deep dive is fine, and maybe deep dive will be a rotating member on the ban list. And I have no idea. So I'll be curious to see. But that's cool.
Wait, I just want to ask Shadow, how long you were there at Star of Elevation, right? So, but you said you're playing startup. Have you experienced deep dive? I have to ask.
No. Nope.
Oh no!
I've seen the card, and I'm like, this would be so cool to play with, and it was banned.
My sweet summer child, you don't understand.
I mean, I do think
Oh,
without Sable, I do think the card functions a little differently, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
no, I not to go too much off the rails here, but like, I definitely can recognize that this with Sable has to have been cracked. It just getting that click back allows so much.
Yes and no,
to happen.
insofar as Deep Dive Sable got pushed out of the meta because Alco was good, but probably would have been the best deck if Alco didn't exist. I think Shapers were playing it fine though. They were happy to still play it because they had other ways to deal with Alco anyway. But Deep Dive Sable specifically had to go all in, and because of that, Alco could just ruin them by just chipping out of hand and win the game on the spot basically. But other than that, literally every other deck I felt like I could play at the time. I remember trying to brew so many decks and just all of them getting deep dove on like turn 3.
Yeah.
And it's just the worst.
Yeah.
I hated Deep Dive Sable so much. I'm okay with Sable being gone for other reasons, but I am very afraid of Deep Dive.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think.
Well, I'll get to experience it.
Yeah. Well, we'll all get a window to play with Deep Dive a little bit more. For how long, who knows? But all right. So this has been Methuselah. I also like. It's it's a solid piece of art. I do think that like the backpack is sick. It's maybe not the exact strongest, but I do love the
I love the
image as a
background.
whole, but-
Like, can we talk about like the hues? I just really like the background.
Yeah, it is a very nice sunset.
Framing
I'm a
of the
little,
shot is amazing.
yeah. It's a fun piece. All right, we've got a very different type of Shaper card. Well, maybe not very. I don't know. Maybe it's very different. Maybe it's not. But this is probably a card that I'm excited about, and I suspect that I am like one of 3 people excited about this card. This is Read, Write, Share. It is a 0-cost 2MU program. Limit 4 hosted cards. When you install this program and when your turn begins, you may host 1 card from your grip face down this program to draw 1 card. Trash, shuffle all hosted cards into your stack. This is 2 influence. Take what you need, leave what you can. And this came to us courtesy of the Milano City Grid YouTube channel, which I think primarily does Italian, I want to say, Netrunner content, but they did a nice preview video in English, and it's definitely worth checking out. So please do go check out that video as well as their other stuff. So, I guess we here because we started with Shadow this time. What are your thoughts on this card? I know you said when you first joined the call you're not a Shaper player, so you have no idea what to do with this.
I am a Crim player through and through, so my ability to evaluate this card is not great. I know the Dewey bells are ringing. It's 2MU and it can get rid of itself, so the Dewey bells are definitely ringing. I think it's weird because Shaper doesn't usually get this sort of card filtering effect. It's very criminal usually in terms of like getting weird card draw that's not normal. But like I can see this other than like obviously Dewey. I can see maybe like a really big Arasana deck that just wants to find the good cards for the matchup, but has like 55 or so cards and needs different cards for different matchups. Maybe playing this as a way to get through. It is 4 draws for 0 credits, which is exceptionally on right if you think about it in that way. I don't really know what the trash shuffle effect really means other than it saves your programs, then you get to the bottom of your deck and then you can finally get them all back. Maybe there's a use there. I don't think Shapers really like they don't have to get to the bottom of their deck to do anything really. They're not Anarchs who are doing that sort of thing. So I don't know. I really don't know. Like it might be fine, it might be terrible, it might be actually really solid. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Shell, I'm curious on what your impressions of this card are as well, because I think this is one of the most I don't know. unintuitive cards I feel like we've seen so far.
Yeah, this definitely is not a card that you pick up and read the first time, and you're like, oh, I know exactly how to use this in what deck, right? This is going to be a build around card that you're going to be like, hey, this is going to be a certain piece of my engine. It's going to help with some efficiency. Pairing this with Dewi, if I'm saying it right, I'm probably not, but pairing it with her console will be kind of key, right? Like pairing it with that, I think will give us some flexibility because you can dig harder and harder to get your hand stacked up and sculpted better without necessarily punishing yourself for just getting rid of things and overdrawing. Another flip side of that is throwing this inside of other decks like Criminal or Anarch, where maybe you want to be more run heavy and you want to protect some of your icebreakers that you drew early, and you have other answers, like your boomerangs or other things to get through things. So you can pocket those to shuffle them back in the deck. There's nothing worse than drawing 2 icebreakers and then, having your third installed and then drawing your mutual favor, right? Like there's nothing worse than that. So being able to shuffle those back, make those mutual favors useful again, I think could be really helpful out of action.
Yeah, or even just saying, oh, I've got all my breakers, I'll just throw up my mutual favor on this, it'll become a better card clicklessly, and then I'll just overwrite it. I won't even worry about shuffling it back on.
Exactly.
Someone mentioned that like you can put a hardware on it and then trash it with like spec work. I'm not sure that's true though, because it gets destroyed, trashed through game mechanics, doesn't it? Or do you trash the card that you host?
I believe all cards hosted get trashed. This one.
That part happens. I know that. Is that game mechanics? Or does that still count as spec work trashing? I don't think that triggers high RAM.
So because this says whenever you install or trash a piece of hardware, boy, I definitely saw someone saying that this did trigger, but I will have to say I'm not 100% certain that it counts as you trashing it versus the card trashing because it was hosted.
It's not about whether it's trashed or not. It's about who trashed it, Kronos.
Yeah, did the game trash it or did you trash
that's fine.
It?
Yeah, because net damage from an ice doesn't count, for example, because it's the corporation trashing your card. So I'm not sure that works. Either way, just such a bizarre card. I really do wonder if there's some crazy combo where you get to the bottom of your deck and you put all your programs into this that you need to store, and then you shuffle them back in and do this crazy combo turn.
I mean,
maybe it's
I'm
the world.
I'm gonna make you mad. So this card I think has one use of it is totally combos and I have my deep dive. I drew it early against Alco. Oh, I just leave it on my read-write chair so it can't get damaged out of my hand. Fantastic. I play an Ashen Epilogue because I want my deck to be able to go twice. Oh, I drew it in the first 3 turns. Okay, it can go on a read-write chair. At the end, at some point, I will shuffle it back into my deck and get to do an exchange kind of thing, right? I think there's a use for that. Fine,
but I should point out you still have to draw the read-write. Right? I say that, but people play buffer drive as if you don't have to draw buffer drive before.
Yeah, and I think this also this card also, you can play it in theory, at least to me, you could play it as a 3x, and if you have one installed and you draw another one, oh great, that could just go on my read-write chair, right? I don't have to I don't know. I think there's some part of me that's clickless draw is kind of good, just generically. It's basically, to me, the only tricky thing about this is really the 2MU. Otherwise, this is kind of if this was a 1MU card, I think everyone would just be like, oh yeah, of course you play this in a Shaper deck because you'll draw a card that you don't need right now, and you can draw into a better card. There's almost always a card that's in your hand that's worse than the average card in your deck. If that's not the case, then, well, A, you don't have to proc this, and B, man, you're in a pretty good spot already, probably. And so, the upside, maybe that means there's not enough upside, maybe there's not enough downside, I don't know. But I think another thing people have shout out is, if you're playing, I'm going to say a Spark of Inspiration deck, because I can, pull that up quickly. Yeah. But, if you were playing the Spark of Inspiration style decks where you only play, 1 or 2 of a breaker, Spark of Inspiration obviously doesn't actually work for this, but I can't pull up beta builds very quickly. You can have a program that like, oh, it's much better for me to have this in my deck than it is for me to have it in my hand, which is like it's actually like, if you think about like, and maybe Muse is also part of the reason people aren't as excited about this. Like Muse pulls out of your grip. It's the only Shaper card I think that lets you install it from your grip. Which is like
text. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, being able to put stuff back in your deck has utility for Shaper as a whole.
Okay, this card's better than I thought. I didn't think about a lot of these things. Huh. I kind of just thought it was like, oh, it's like 0, draw 4, sort of. It's kind of the way I looked at it.
Yeah. Another thing I think about is like,
I think all the other things are...
If you have an environmental testing down, right? Oh, great. I got to trigger an environmental testing for 0 credits. If I have a lily pad down, this card draw card drew me an extra card and cost me nothing to install. Like, I think there's a decent amount of things. The other thing I will say is like, as a diehard Arsana player who likes to run Urban Art Vernissage, which I would, it's like, oh yeah, you want to play 3x Urban Art Vernissage, but you only want to see one of them, right? So now if I have a second one in my hand, oh great, it goes away and I can get a better card that is maybe useful. Or for the people that want to do knick-knack engines, like same idea. You usually run 2 to 3 knick-knack O'Briens, but you need to, like, you almost always need to run 3 for consistency, but you don't want any copy beyond the first. So this card is interesting to me. Now, is it good? I don't know. It seems pretty slow, but it's maybe not. It could be quite solid. It's like a very interesting card.
It is the definition of a slots issue, isn't it? Go ahead, Shadow.
Well, I was gonna say that, like, yeah, it's definitely, slots are hard. I mean, you can be hard. If you're playing DZMZ, right? Like, you definitely lose a turn playing this. If you've already played that, and you want the credits for something else, right? But another thought here is also, again, when you draw that second copy of Boomerang, but you don't want it yet, you can pocket those unique cards that are powerful that you want, just like Urban Art, right? So it can be an enabler in that sense.
You also kidnap cards you don't want, right? Like if there's you draw your Wacom Pot on turn 2, I can't install this. It's going to appear a bravado and kill me, basically, in terms of econ. Maybe that's the sort of thing, right? Where you just store your late game cards here for later, and then you can shuffle them in when you actually want to draw them.
Yeah, or it's like, we're in an Alco meta. I have an Airblades in my deck, but I'm playing against Leo this game. Okay, I'll just put my Airblades on read-write share, and I'll just plan to not actually pop the read-write share. I'll put cards I don't need in this matchup, right? And then I'll just overwrite at some point, and I've thinned my deck. Maybe that's a value.
When I look at most modern Shaper lists, they're not even maxing out on their quote-unquote good draw cards. Like, they play 2 Ritual maybe, and 3 Nuka, and that's and then maybe their console is also a draw card. So
well, can I tell you why people aren't playing 3 Rituals? Is because Ritual's not a good card.
It's a diesel.
It's not a diesel. It's not a diesel.
There is a distinction, though. This isn't just draw. This is filter. Right, so it is providing more value than just drawing a card. It's taking those cards that you want to keep in your deck as resources later.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's a fair point. I think there is something to be said for hey, Ritual is say I go -1 card plus 3 cards. Read-write share, the turn you installed is -2 cards plus 1 card, which is a little bit tough, right? You're actually going down more than 1 piece when you're installed.
Also shout out, it does trigger Bling.
Oh, yes.
Your Bling Arasana, I did mention a 55 card Arasana deck. There you go. You've got a Bling Arasana deck. You've got every tool under the sun. And you now have an excuse to play every tool under the sun because you have a card that helps you fix that problem.
Yeah, the consistency. That's a good line. I just think two influence, this is easy to splash.
Yeah, but I think it's fighting with Nuka. Nuka's so much card draw concentrated into 1 card that I don't really see anyone else importing it because of that. If it was 1 influence, maybe. It's also 2 MU, and other than Shaper, I guess Keiko is pretty massive MU for Anarch right now. But I can't see a Crim playing this. I can see an Anarch maybe, because they have a lot of wasted cards as well, because they have to play 6 breakers usually.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say this just as a joke, but maybe this borrowed goods is how Criminal plays read write share. Um, but yeah, I don't know this.
No.
This is a
borrowed
funky...
goods Q loop. With green dad. Read write share.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
launch day, somebody's gonna find something.
yeah.
that
Wait,
I
actually,
never saw.
Oh, this Q loop. This is a Q loop card. Oh yes, yes. This is actually such a Q loop card. That's amazing. Okay.
I think more likely is like going to be in like those sorts of weird Dewey Arasana. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Arasana, like the sort of decks where they have a lot of one-offs. I feel like that's where this is best because that's where you have a lot of awkward draws, and this is going to fix that hopefully for you.
Yeah, I guess I would
And it
put
gets
it
itself
as...
out of the way. That's another thing.
Yeah,
Like,
to me this is
it
like...
doesn't actually eat your MU for long.
Yeah, this is like a funky card. It's like, I'm going to say it's Spree-like to give it more credit than it deserves, where it's like, I'm going to look at this and say, yeah, this isn't really a competitive card, and like it won't be most of the time, but then someone will do something very cool with it in the deck, in a deck that does well at an event, and like, that's great. Though Spree is definitely showing to be a bit more of a powerhouse again these days, so maybe we've all been sleeping on Spree.
All right, Shadow, you and me, we got to bet on read write share winning worlds now because that's what happened with Spree.
But yeah, I also like this art. I really like quite a bit. It's not like the flashiest art, but it's just I love the like...
I forget. Is it multi-threader? It kind of reminds me of with like the symbols on it. Where it has, like multi-threader has a bunch of references to other cards on like symbols. If you can get
That's a good
card
shout.
out,
Yeah, multi-threader is referencing. Yeah, I'm sure they are even sharing a couple of references. Well, probably just a lotus petal because that's such a iconic shaper card. But yeah, it's a good shout. All right, so we've got 2 more cards still to talk about tonight, and they both come to us courtesy of the King's Court podcast. Definitely recommend giving that one a listen. Even no, I already got burned once by putting clauses on things, so I will just recommend you go listen to the King's Court podcast. It's a good time. So they gave us 2 different cards, and they are, I think, both pretty interesting. First up, we've got Grubber. This is a 5 to res, 5 strength, barrier liability. And it says, when you res this ice, if it is protecting a central server, take 1 bad publicity. And then it has 2 subroutines. End the run unless the runner pays 3 credits. End the run unless the runner pays 3 credits. And the most hands per art in Netrunner history, I think, with some hand turnstiles in a way that is, I'm definitely not going to be dreaming about for the next couple of, or I should say, having nightmares about for the next couple of weeks, courtesy of Scott Uminga.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy for all 3 of us to agree that, man, this is some nightmare fuel art. Like, just absolutely crazy. I will not look at a car wash the same way ever again. Like, this is nuts.
I'm gonna go through
like,
the London
Funhouse
Underground
was
and then
fun.
I go through a turnstile.
It was fun.
It's got in your hands though.
Such a great card though. Like, yeah, on Centrals you take a bad pub, but I mean, does it matter if they're losing 6 credits for a couple turns? Like, you know, if they need to run that server, this is great.
5 strength, 5 res, 2 subs. My first brain, my Crim brain goes, it gets boomeranged. Also, Kurapura breaks it for the same amount that you could just pay through it. So I think this is just kind of average. I like when I think of like a big NBN barrier, as much as it was mostly played in Jinteki, I think of Data Loop, and this is kind of those numbers.
No, Data Loop is much worse than this. Data Loop is way worse than this.
Oh yeah, actually you're right.
Data Loop was usually like 3 to 4 credits to break.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, 100%. To be fair, like I said, Data Loop has text, but this isn't a real gear check technically. And like, honestly, I'm okay paying 6 through it. Like you said, are they going to pay 6? But kind of yes, honestly speaking. It's a 5 res ice. Message Chesfo is way more expensive for the same price, right? So like it's fine. I think NBN will play it because they've been really hurting for a big barrier. And it's clear that I think this kind of tells me that they don't want to give NBN like a good big barrier, if that makes sense, like quote unquote good one. It's no Bran, that's for sure. But yeah, I think this is fine. Like probably throw on a central and the Nebula players will make me cry.
I think you're underrating a little
flip
bit how much 6 credits actually is. Like 6 credits is in fact brand numbers. Like yes, it's not hard ETR, but to be fair, neither is brand. Like I have seen.
I'm sorry. I pay 8 credits for a brand. I'm sorry.
I mean, I mostly
play
play 3 credits for a brand, but we're not going to worry about that too much.
I guess I'm the weird guy. I click through them, but
yeah. Well, that's the other thing. And like
no,
honestly,
I mean another thought here is like
sorry.
You throw this on a remote, right?
Yeah.
And
And you don't
paying
get the
5 to
backbone,
protect
right?
one remote with such a hard pay window.
Yeah, it's like
It's
and you don't take the bad pop. I think that's fine.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe
fine.
we what was it called? It's like from pre-spoiler season, right? Like flood the market. It's like, oh, maybe this is a great if you want to go for that kind of strategy in NBN. Like I think this does a lot to enable that kind of like epiphany style. Like I'm gonna play a bunch of remotes. I'm gonna ice up a couple of them, and like I install the card behind the Grubber. Yeah, you can pay 6 and access it. Do you want to? And like I think that's an interesting question.
And now can you pay to trash whatever I have?
Yeah, and then can you also pay to deal with the tags on the other side of the Oppo research? Like, I think this card, like, you're right. This is not a brand. It is also cheaper than a brand, but like I think not every faction having a brand is probably good. Because NBN has
photo menacingly.
Yeah, because giving factions different texture feel, like different feels for what the role of Big Barrier plays means that they can have different play styles. And Grubber definitely feels like it's tuned for an NBN style card, which is not saying, oh, you can never get in, just can you afford to get in? Can you really? Which I think is kind of a different from HB, which is very much like you got to get in efficiently, otherwise you're losing. So I don't know.
You were talking about for the market, but actually, what I've seen out of ED, which is like the editorial division, what is like obviously what this is for, being a liability, right? Is mostly like one remote decks that are kind of trying to like rush out with like nasty agendas, right?
Mhm.
Like that's what people have done in like at least what people have told me they've done with like the half build decks they have right now. Obviously, not all the cards are revealed yet, so maybe there's something we're missing, but. Like they're trying to do like one really, really, really horrible remote, and like if you get in, they don't really care because they have an Oppo, and then they have all the punishment cards, whatever one they feel like playing, right? And I think this is kind of perfect for that because you can search it, you can put it you can put it to get a bad pop if you want a bad pop, but you don't have to take the bad pop if you don't want to. And it's meaningfully taxing enough that it's good ice, and NBN is kind of hurting for good ice in my opinion. So this definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Shadow, any final thoughts before we move on to the final card?
Yeah, to be honest, again, just being newer, like reading through this card, it's definitely hard to find that exact place where it fits, right? Chat's bringing up Magistrate, which I think is a good pick too. That just, if you can protect that on the side, just a lot of credit taxing can be in the set now. So that paired with older things like white space, you could be really credit intensive for someone who doesn't have the breakers.
Oh, yeah. Banner, oh no. Oh god, paid 2 to break this is very sad. Someone said chat said banner, and I was like, oh dear.
Warrior 4C, kind of weird question here. If res with Sam on the central, do you still take a bad pub? Yep. Because this just says when you res this ice, not if you res this ice during a run and it is protecting a central server. So anytime this ice
Oh,
is
cost
rezzed,
as
if
well,
it's on a
right?
central, you can take a bad pub. So I guess in theory you could also like Tucana score, like use an agenda score with Tucana and then res a Grubber to go and get a bad pub off turn, like on your turn. Um, so that's kind of
I
an interesting
I
thing.
know influence isn't the most important thing. It is 3 influence, so I don't expect to see this as much as I think most of the other factions have similar and or better barriers at this price range probably.
Yeah, I meant more like
Maybe not
So
Jinteki.
you
Maybe
you
no,
you
actually they have both of them saying.
yeah, yeah. I meant more you splash Tucana into NBN to make that
Yeah,
work.
okay, fair enough. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So I guess one thing that we haven't mentioned either, I guess, is there is an inherent synergy with editorial division, right? You res
Yeah.
this on Essential, you search for a card, whether you're picking up something that you spend influence for, like measured, or just something
Or
that
to
you're looking
fund.
for. You could also search itself, right? So you can just say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm missing ice. I need ice." You could pick it back.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think
that's
this
kind of
definitely
neat.
fits.
I don't think it has like particular dependency on positionality, which is nice. Like you can just kind of throw this wherever, it's probably fine. Like you're not like outside of the bad pub. It's just a case of where do you feel you want this, and I'm feeling like the editorial division decks don't really care how much bad pub they're handing out to some degree, because their idea is we're gonna tax you through tags anyway, and that's your real credits, not your bad pub credits.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think this will be interesting to see in play. We managed to make it through this whole discussion without mentioning GameNet, so I'm going to say it the one time just to scare away the demons. GameNet isn't real. It can't hurt us. It will never be real. If it comes real, I will
You're saying this to
hammer
new
theses
players.
onto the
We don't know
wall.
what GameNet does. I actually have like experienced one game of GameNet my entire life, and I kind of
Uh,
crushed it. So I'm not too worried about GameNet personally.
yeah. Well, hey, with Deep Dive, we don't need to worry about GameNet, so it's fine. That is a deck that super loses to Deep Dive. So okay, well, we've got one more card to talk about, and that is Hype Machine. This is a 6 to res upgrade advertisement out of NBN. As long as an agenda was scored or stolen this turn, the res cost of this upgrade is lowered by 6 credits. Trash. Place one advancement counter on a card you can advance in the root of the server. Every season is previewed season, is the flavor text. And then it is 2 to trash and 3 influence. So I'm sure we will talk about this using Op, but Shadow, I would like to start with you. What do you make of this card?
I love it. Asset spam. I feel like this could fit. You could sneak it on the table. You can res. At worst, right? This is pay 6, and suddenly I have a credit. Yeah, or sorry, an advancement.
Yeah.
Right. So your 4/2 can be scored out. Right. So Kingmaker, Kingmaking, just to sneak out. And that's at worst, right? What happens when they rip R&D and get something? You get to res this for free, and now it's something they have to answer. Being able to just paid ability and have an advancement counter is really, really good. I think that's something that's undervalued in a lot of cases, especially with 4/2s being pretty prevalent, at least in our local scene.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see this being played. 3 influence is also not crazy to splash this into something. I don't know what that something is yet, but it's also something that for 2 credits can be trashed. Right, this is definitely something that it's hard to protect on the table, which is why either hiding it amongst 3 upgrades or three installs, or hiding it behind some ice would both be good.
Yeah, I also want to shout out like the powers that be synergy is pretty good, or like seems quite solid. Where like, oh, if you use a hype machine to score an agenda, you can then put that hype machine back on and get to res it for free. Which, yeah, I don't know if that's like game breaking, but it seems like a way that like if you have a window, this can kind of like really accelerate you through that window and start scoring and pinwheeling out agendas.
I was
quite
gonna say the
quickly.
same thing. Welcome back, team sponsorship, Cali testing. The I have seen the Game Changer Sports list. I have never played with it, but I know what it does. And then calibration testing is like the original version of this card, right? Which was 3 to res, but basically the same thing, right? And I mean, yeah, just fast advance cards. Score 4 2s on the tables. Fast advance 3 2s. What could you ask? Resing this the first time was the hard part, right? But once it's rezzed, it is such a threat for the runner to go have to deal with, and
Yeah.
trigger up or whatever.
It probably does help a
You
little
can
bit
play
with
this
the
in
like.
wide.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say you can play in wide decks because you have like powers that be modernly, like makes it really easy to get this trigger, like this free res cost. Or you can play in vertical decks too because you have like a big Doom remote and this is at the end of it, and it's not even an agenda, so they don't get points for getting in, but they still have to trash it because otherwise you score points yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really good. I think this card is extremely solid, and it has been for years.
Yeah. And what's the what's the NBN's 2-1?
Post truth dividend.
Yes, thank you. It's like you have that. Oh, apparently I can't find truth. Oh wow. Post.
There's a hyphen in it, so
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
post.
Yep. So yeah, post truth dividend does seem solid with this too. Like you now can. There's someone also mentioned like you can. It's like someone was like, oh well, isn't this like installing this just as an advancement counter is not that great. If you compare it to nano management, it's like sort of 1 credit more expensive. But I
I
think
think it's close to the comparison.
But it's 4 influence less.
Right?
For
Yeah,
1 credit.
and also that, and also it does pay. Like if you res it for 0, it pays the credit back, right? You're not spending any
Yeah.
money on the advancement. It's actually different from Cali testing, which costs 3.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
so
get
it's
the
like
res for
it's
0,
similar.
this is extremely efficient.
Yeah, if you can res it for 0 and it's like, sometimes like, oh yeah, the runner just like got a single and like stole an agenda, and then you can wait till the end of the runner's turn and then res this so that they don't even get a window necessarily to do anything, right? It's not like, oh, if an agenda was stolen this click, or when an agenda is stolen, you can res this. It's like, as long as the agenda was stolen this turn, so you can wait till the very end of the turn and then, boom, make some fancy plays happen.
Now I know you want me to talk about ARB, because resing in development for free is and scoring an agenda. I'm salivating, okay? It's 3 influence. It's expensive. There's a lot of 3 influence cards in the set I want right now. I was considering Red Room. I was considering this now. There's a lot of like ARB has not enough influence to do everything it wants to do in its life. But I mean, this is a fast advance tool, and like that's never a bad thing. And possibly a 0 cost fast advance tool, which is kind of crazy, honestly speaking. Like most fast advance tools cost more than this, which should not be underrated at all. Like Bass, you still have to pay for the advancements, and it's 3 to res. Obviously, Nano Management you have to pay for off the rip. Flood the Market costs 3, which is something. Even they put the advancements for free, but it does cost a lot on the face of it. This being 0, I'm really surprised. It's functionally 0 credits. I don't think anyone's ever going to res it for 6 unless it closes the game, which I mean could have been a Hollow Man or a Sansan at that point. But
Yeah.
still, like I think this is just really, really good. I expect to see it somewhere. Maybe Poetry plays this actually. There's the Poetry card. Oh wait, hang on.
Yeah.
If Poetry gets this off the top, can they just res it? Ooh. Oh, hang on. I didn't even think about that.
Yes, you totally can, because it's the same turn where an agenda was scored. So yeah, you can just grab this off the top of the deck, install it, and maybe that's okay. Maybe this is the poetry dream: is you play all 3 hype machines, and you like have a powers. You score an agenda, hype machine off the top of the deck, hype machine 1 powers the another, and then like get to score 2 agendas in 1 turn that way, and we'll worry about how all the
I
clicks
miss
work
Arella
out.
Salvatore. She would have sounded perfect for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for
I
those.
miss her so much.
Yeah, Arella is like a wild, like an effect that it's sort of like, wait, why would I do this? And then you play it in the right decks, and you're like, oh, this card's so nutty, and that it's compressing a click and an advance, like it's doing 2 clicks of compression on one agenda score trigger, and so it's like interesting to see Hype Machine kind of visiting that space a little bit.
In terms of art,
So
I know. Oh wait, go ahead, show.
I was gonna say, like, it probably isn't particularly good, right? But if this is on the table and you've got Hollow Man as well, right? Like you can Hollow Man to get 2. You can advance the other 2, and then you can pay the credits and pitch this to get to 5. Which just seems pretty nutty. It's obviously not ideal, right? You should
This with Hollow Man lets you score a 4-2, like the same way you can do that with like Bassel or any other click gain, right? From hand, but like Hollow Man on his own already scores a 5-3 naked, so I don't think this is gonna score 5-3s with Hollow Man. Unless you can get another click somewhere, right? Then you're scoring 5-3s, and with Hollow Man and this and maybe something else,
yeah,
right?
that's a fair point.
But scoring 4-2s from hand is terrifying. I don't want to get artificial cripple crushed when there's nothing on the table except like 1 face down.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the value is king making. Again, I just come back to that, where being able to score that out and scoring an additional 1 cost, right? That just a 3-point swing right off the rip, pretty terrifying.
Like you can also score like the superconducting or whatever your 1 pointer you're playing. It may be post truth, right? And just turns that on pretty easily. And usually 1 pointers are hopefully not too hard to score.
Yeah, I mean, like you have a bunch of ways. I think someone also shouted out Remastered Project or Remastered Edition.
Oh, Remastered
excuse
Edition,
me.
right, yeah.
You could do you could start powering out some really fast advanced decks. So it's like I don't think this is a Nebula card, but this might be a fast advance NBN card. Or I mean, it's definitely a fast advance NBN card. There's not like yes, you can use it in kind of go wide asset decks, but I think you mostly.
You say it's not a Nebula
this.
card? I have seen. I think Man the Moon brought it to Worlds, was like a remote Nebula, actual remote building Nebula. I think that could play this pretty easily, honestly speaking. Because like you're going to score an agenda with Nebula, that's going to happen.
Yeah, okay,
not going
you're
to
right.
flip you
As long as if you say not remote only Nebula, like yes, like that definitely could play this. But
yeah, I mean, COD's really good. Do not reference K-pop Demon Hunters. Someone will kill you. I think I remember this was like in the Vantage Point trailer, right? This is like back at Worlds when they first showed it. This was like one of the big card outs they showed, and it kind of is self-referential in some way, with like between the flavor text and the actual the theme of the card itself.
Yeah,
I find it kind of ironic we're making references to hype in a preview season.
yeah, that's definitely a bit of a wink at everyone who's watching daily casts and engaged in the Netrunner preview season. So,
all right, finding the slot on this will be tough. I think Hollow Man is, a really, really core staple to that fast advance strategy, but this gives you an interesting toolkit on top of that, that in itself is its own threat.
Yeah.
I think it gives you ways to get. I just realized it gives you a way to get the Epiphany counter to do something, like essentially like bank a click, so to speak, as well. Like if you Epiphany off the table, off the deck, you've now banked an advancement functionally, which is something kind of scary because the runner doesn't really have much information about that, considering how Epiphany is often a card you don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's like I think this. I mean, today especially feels like it's a bunch of cards that are like, man, the use cases for this are varied and non-obvious and difficult to evaluate in their strength, which is, I think, a really big success. But I mean, as like first.
I kind of think this one's straightforward. I think this card's just good.
Okay.
To be real, this one's just good. The others, I agree. This one, I think, is just gonna be good.
Yeah, I guess it is somewhat like it is. This one is solid, but it's also a little bit like it fits in. It has more than one mode in which it's good, which I think makes it more exciting for deck building and trying out in different ways.
I do have to ask, as we do with any like sort of placing advancement card, is there a stupid kill combo we can find with this? I don't think so. I mean, people thought Holloman would, and then it never did. Really, outside of like re-education. Okay, I lied. Re-education.
Yeah, there's not.
I don't
mean,
think there's anything you can do with this with just one advancement, but I can be wrong. I'd
yeah,
like to not be for once.
maybe there's an Alco deck that could play Hype Machine and lots of like small agendas, and then like set up some kind of like Fuji combo kill line. But it's just fun. It's just a
most of
bad
those are just
Hollow
trying
Man
to
at that
score,
point,
right?
I think.
Yeah. Most of
So,
those are just trying to play. Like we have seen Holloman in Alco as like a scoring variant where you play like the powers and you play like scatter fields. I think is what they were doing, right? Where they just are playing a relatively red corp, but they have that kill fork.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
just having draw 3 and excellent assets is enough to fuel that sort of scoring strategy. I think in that case you probably like it's 3 influence, so it's competing with Holloman directly in that situation. So I don't think we're gonna see this imported very much outside of maybe Ob really wants in development that badly. I would say maybe, considering I think Ob in the future without Excavator has to really work hard in one remote, and this kind of fits that style
Mhm.
excellently. But again, it's still competing with Holloman, right? So I think mostly this will stay in MBN.
It's I agree. It's completely a strong card. Its use case is different than Hollow Man, which is why I think you can get both in a deck. It's just
100%,
going to be finding that perfect balance of do you run 2 of, 3 of, 1 of, and of which combination of both cards. Because between both of them, you have a lot of unique tools that will provide you value to score out quickly.
Yeah, especially being able to score when you're relatively poor is kind of really valuable in any game state, I think. Like you can score down to like get to 5 points, but you've got like 4 credits left in the run. It's like, they're probably not going to score again. But you have Hype Machine in rotation; they have to respect you as a corp that could be threatening to win the game on the next turn.
The only card I can think of is like a kill combo that would be like Neurospike, right? Where you're scoring out something that you then do damage with. But that would be pretty hard to pull off, I think.
Yeah. This doesn't feel like it's new
luxury
combos.
line Neurospike kill combo gains a little piece.
Yeah, I saw people be like, "Oh no, this is gonna be used to fetch hostile architecture," and I'm like, "What ob deck wants to both score agendas and get like I don't know." It feels like
It's
Hype
not
Machine
just
and
that.
hostile architecture.
Those objects lost. There's literally not enough assets in Wayland to play anymore, in my opinion, on Wayland assets now.
Yeah,
I'm just
possibly.
gonna assume they're taking a break for a set, and maybe next time we'll get them, or maybe Excavate will come back sometime soon. I don't think so though.
Yeah.
I think mostly like there's just not enough assets in Wayland to actually back a Wayland asset deck of any kind right now. I can be wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. You have no idea how much I'd want to be proven wrong. But I feel like we're playing in one remote win up now between that and Event Horizon as well.
Yeah. Cool. Any other final thoughts on Hype Machine?
It's hype. That's all I've got.
Yeah, it is hype. Cali testing's back.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, I think unfortunately we've run out of time to talk about the Red Room, so we'll have to do that on your own time. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, there's a lot of cool cards. Like honestly, most of these cards have been really interesting to think about and playing around. So I hope everyone has been enjoying preview season as much as I have, and thank you both, Meteor and Shadow. It was great to have both of you on. This was a very fun episode, and I guess I should ask: do you have anything either of you would like to plug?
I guess I'll say. I mean, I think most of the UK players are pretty supportive of districts already, and that's happening. So I'll do Feathermark a favor and say go to his CTK in London. Do it. I wish I could make it, but I can't because I'm already going to a CTK the day after.
Fantastic.
I'll just say check out the Elemental P circuit whenever you get a chance. I did not come up with a name, but I love it. Local Midwest Netrunner organized players.
That's great.
And so we've got a nice group going. So there's our districts in Fargo here at the end of April, right at the end of the season. There's districts in Madison, Racine, both in Wisconsin, Omaha in Nebraska, and then we've got St. Paul, Minnesota as well. So check out any of those. There's a good chance I'm hoping to make it to 2, possibly 3 of them myself. But I'll definitely be the one at Fargo, North Dakota.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. This has been a blast. Thank you, everyone in chat, for chatting and joining us in on this. And we've got only a few more days of spoilers left. Only 3 more days of proper spoilers. My last show will be Saturday the 28th. That's going to be another morning show for those of you in the US, and a reasonable hour for those of you who are in the continent or UK. Yeah, so that should be a good one. And yeah, hope people are enjoying spoiler season. We've got, I'm sure, still some good cards coming up. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good night.